Sometimes you stare at your life and it feels like looking at a house built with the wrong blueprints. The walls don't quite align. The foundation seems shaky. And there's this constant whisper that you took a wrong turn somewhere, made choices that weren't really yours, followed paths that led you away from who you truly are. You wonder if it's too late to start again, too late to tear down what doesn't serve you, too late to rebuild. The thought terrifies you, starting over at your age, after investing so many years, after others have come to expect certain things from you. The voice of doubt speaks of wasted time, of being behind, of missed opportunities that won't come again. But there's another voice, isn't there? Quieter, deeper, more ancient. It speaks of renewal, of cycles, of nature's endless capacity to begin again. It reminds you that the trees shed their leaves each autumn, not because they've failed, but because they're wise enough to release what no longer serves them. They know that letting go isn't an ending. It's preparation for new growth. You've spent years trying to fit yourself into spaces that were never meant for you, pursuing careers that drain your spirit, maintaining relationships that shrink your soul, playing roles that feel like borrowed clothes, too tight in some places, too loose in others. You've become skilled at ignoring the discord between who you are and who you pretend to be. The persona, that mask we wear to please others, has become so familiar you sometimes forget it's not really you. Carl Jung understood this when he wrote, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." Those feelings of being trapped, of living someone else's life, that's not fate. That's your authentic self crying out from beneath years of compromise. You see the symptoms everywhere now, the exhaustion that no amount of sleep seems to cure, the anxiety that flutters in your chest when you think about another year on this path, the quiet desperation that visits you in those honest moments before dawn. These aren't signs of failure. They're messages from your soul telling you it's time for change. Society has sold you a timeline that was never true. It said success must come by a certain age, that life should follow a predetermined sequence, that starting over is somehow admitting defeat. But nature knows no such rules. A forest can burn to the ground and still regenerate, more vibrant than before. A field can lie fallow for years and suddenly burst with new life. Your soul follows natural law, not social convention. Look at your hands. Really look at them. They're still strong enough to build. Your mind is still fertile with dreams. Your heart, beneath its scars, still knows how to hope. The time you've spent until now wasn't wasted. It was gathering wisdom. Every false start, every mistake, every detour has been teaching you what you truly need. The path of individuation, becoming who you truly are, isn't a straight line. It's a spiral, circling back to pick up pieces of yourself you had to leave behind. Those creative dreams you abandoned, that wild laugh you used to have, that sense of possibility that got buried under practicality. They're all still there, waiting. Starting over doesn't mean erasing everything. It means looking at your life with new eyes. What if those years of feeling out of place were actually your inner compass trying to guide you home? What if that persistent dissatisfaction wasn't a flaw in your character, but your authentic self refusing to be silenced? Jung reminds us that the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Notice he didn't put an expiration date on that privilege. There's no deadline for authenticity. no age limit on awakening. The only time that's too late is never. Your soul speaks in whispers and roars, in sudden bursts of tears while driving, in unexpected anger at seemingly small things, in dreams that wake you with their vivid insistence. These aren't random disturbances. They're maps leading you back to yourself. Every moment of disconnect from your current life is actually a moment of clarity, showing you where change needs to happen. The fear you feel at the thought of change, honor it. It's telling you something important is at stake. Fear doesn't always mean stop. Sometimes it means you're finally facing the direction of your truth. The anxiety about starting over isn't warning you away. It's your system preparing for transformation. Think of a snake shedding its skin. There's no perfect time for this process. It happens when the old container becomes too restrictive for new growth. The snake doesn't question whether it's too late or what others will think. It simply responds to the inner knowing that time for change has come. You might be thinking of all the practical reasons why starting over seems impossible. The responsibilities, the financial commitments, the expectations of others. These are real considerations, yes, but they're not prison walls. They're parameters within which creativity can find new solutions. Starting over doesn't always mean dramatic external changes. Sometimes it begins with internal shifts, giving yourself permission to want something different, acknowledging that the path you're on isn't leading where your soul needs to go. Small adjustments in how you spend your time, where you direct your energy, what you allow yourself to dream about. The world needs people who have the courage to begin again, who demonstrate that growth doesn't end at some arbitrary point. Your willingness to change ripples out beyond you, giving others permission to hear their own inner calling. Your rebirth is both deeply personal and somehow universal. Remember, nature doesn't count years, it counts cycles. In her wisdom, every ending contains the seeds of beginning. Every winter holds spring's promise. You're not too old, too invested in the wrong path, or too anything to start again. You're exactly where you need to be to hear the call to renewal. The very fact that you're questioning, that you're feeling this pull toward change, that's your soul's intelligence at work. That restlessness, it's not a midlife crisis or a character flaw. It's your inner compass pointing toward truth. Trust it. It knows the way home. Jung observed that the first half of life is devoted to forming a healthy ego. The second half is going inward and letting go of it. Perhaps what feels like being too late is actually right on time. Maybe you needed all these years to build the strength, wisdom, and self-knowledge required for this transformation. Starting over isn't about erasing your past. It's about honoring it as the preparation it was. Every relationship that didn't work out taught you about your needs. Every job that drained you clarified your values. Every compromise showed you where your boundaries need to be stronger. Begin with permission. Permission to want something different. Permission to not have all the answers yet. Permission to take small steps without seeing the whole path. Permission to disappoint people who are invested in you staying the same. Permission to be a beginner again. The oak tree doesn't question whether it's too late to grow new branches. The moon doesn't worry that it's too old to start another cycle. Your soul knows no timeline except the rhythm of your own readiness. And if you're hearing the call to change now, that's your moment. Not too early, not too late. exactly on time. Look for the signs that have been trying to get your attention, the books that mysteriously find their way to you, the conversations that stir something deep inside, the dreams that keep recurring, the coincidences that feel like breadcrumbs leading somewhere important. Your soul has been preparing you for this moment of recognition. Starting over isn't a single decision. It's 1,000 small choices to honor your truth. It's choosing differently in tiny moments. Speaking up when you used to stay silent. Saying no when you used to automatically say yes. Giving yourself time to dream when you used to fill every moment with doing. Your life isn't a building that has to stay as it was first constructed. It's a garden that can be replanted season after season. Some things will need to be uprooted. Others can be pruned and reshaped. New seeds can be planted alongside established growth. The garden doesn't judge itself for changing. It simply grows according to its nature. The voice that says, "It's too late," comes from fear, not wisdom. Wisdom knows that timing is individual, that growth is eternal, that change is the only constant. Wisdom sees how nature continuously renews itself and recognizes that same power in you. You're not starting from scratch. You're starting from experience. You're not beginning empty-handed. You're beginning with the rich soil of everything you've learned. Every false start has taught you something valuable. Every wasted year has been preparation for this moment. The time will pass anyway, in a year, in 5 years, in a decade. You'll be older regardless of what you choose. The only question is whether you'll be older and still feeling this call to change, or older having answered it. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. Your soul doesn't understand too late. It only understands ready or not ready. If you're feeling this pull toward change, toward authenticity, toward renewal, that's your readiness speaking. That's your soul saying now. Not because of your age or circumstances, but because your inner being has reached the fullness required for transformation. Trust the timing of your awakening. Trust that the very urge to begin again is evidence of your capacity to do so. Trust that the resources, internal and external, will appear as you need them. Trust that others have walked this path of late blooming and found their way to flourishing. You're not too late to start over. You're right on time for your own becoming. The spring that's trying to burst forth in your life doesn't need permission from anyone else's calendar. Your renewal is between you and your soul, and your soul's timing is always perfect. Let this be your moment of saying yes to change, yes to starting over, yes to building something that truly fits your soul. The blueprint you've been following may not have been yours, but the one your heart is drawing now. That's your authentic design. And it's never too late to build from truth. Your future self is calling. Can you hear them? They're thanking you for being brave enough to begin again, for trusting that renewal is always possible, for showing others that it's never too late to become who you truly are. Your rebirth isn't just for you. It's a light showing others the way home to themselves. Begin now. Begin small. Begin where you are. But begin. The world needs the gift of your authentic life, and that gift is right on time. Think about the seasons for a moment. How winter never questions whether it's too late to become spring. How the frozen ground doesn't doubt its ability to soften and welcome new seeds. Your life follows these same natural laws of renewal. Every ending carries the promise of beginning. The resistance you feel, that voice of doubt, questioning whether you can really start over, that's not your intuition speaking. It's your conditioning. Society has programmed us to believe in straight lines when nature works in cycles, to see endings as failures when they're really transitions, to fear change when it's the most natural force in the universe. You've been carrying others' definitions of success, haven't you? Their timelines, their expectations, their measures of what makes a life worthwhile. These borrowed values sit heavy in your heart, like furniture that belongs in someone else's home. It's time to clear the space, to ask yourself what success means in the language of your soul. Carl Jung understood this when he wrote, "Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakes." This awakening you're experiencing, this urge to start over, it's not a crisis. It's clarity finally breaking through the fog of conformity. Look at how many times nature starts over within a single day. Dawn erases night. Clouds reshape themselves endlessly. Waves rebuild the shore with each pulse. You're not too late. You're part of this eternal dance of renewal. Your timing is as perfect as the tide. The fear of starting over often masks a deeper fear, the fear of finally being yourself, because to begin again means admitting that the old way wasn't truly yours. It means facing the grief of lost years, confronting the anger of having lived by others' rules. These emotions aren't obstacles to your renewal. They're part of it. Let them fuel your transformation. What if everything until now was preparation? Every wrong turn, every false start, every compromise. What if they were all gathering the wisdom you'd need for this moment? You're not starting from zero. You're starting from experience, from hard-won insight, from a deeper understanding of what you don't want, which clarifies what you do. The butterfly doesn't look back at its time as a caterpillar and think, "What a waste." It understands that each stage was necessary. Your past isn't wasted time. It's transformed energy. Everything you've lived through has been composting into fertile soil for new growth. Sometimes starting over looks like revolution, dramatic external changes that everyone can see. But more often, it begins as evolution, subtle internal shifts that slowly reshape your external world. It starts with giving yourself permission to want something different, with small acts of courage that honor your truth. Your body knows it's not too late. Every cell in your body regenerates itself. Your lungs start fresh with each breath. Your heart beats in a rhythm of constant renewal. You are biologically designed for reinvention. Trust this deeper wisdom that runs in your veins. The world needs people brave enough to start over, to show that growth doesn't end at some arbitrary point. That wisdom often means having the courage to say, "This isn't working anymore," and choosing a different path. Your reinvention ripples out beyond you, giving others permission to hear their own call to change. Think of all the stories that inspire us. They're rarely about people who got everything right the first time. They're about those who had the courage to begin again, to learn from what didn't work, to trust that their detours were actually the path. Your story isn't over. It's unfolding exactly as it should. The very qualities that make starting over feel difficult are often the ones that will make it successful. Your sensitivity to what isn't working, your inability to ignore the whispers of your soul, your deep desire for authenticity. These aren't weaknesses. They're your inner compass pointing toward truth. Consider how many times you've already started over in small ways. Every morning you wake up, every time you've forgiven, every new relationship, project, or idea you've embraced. You're more experienced at renewal than you realize. This is just a deeper level of the same courage you've always had. When you look at nature, nothing is ever truly still. Even rocks are slowly transforming. Mountains are gradually shifting. The earth itself is constantly renewing its surface. You're part of this endless dance of transformation. Your desire to change isn't unnatural. Resisting it is. The voice that says it's too late comes from a place of scarcity, a belief that time is running out, that opportunities are limited, that you've somehow missed your chance. But look at the abundance in nature. Every moment carries the potential for new growth. Every season brings its own possibilities. Your soul speaks in feelings that don't make logical sense, in restlessness that can't be reasoned with, in dreams that won't be silenced by practicality. Listen to these messages. They're not distractions from your life. They're directions to a more authentic one. Starting over doesn't mean you have to have everything figured out. Nature doesn't plan every leaf before spring arrives. It simply creates conditions for growth and trusts the process. Trust that as you take steps toward authenticity, clarity will come. The path reveals itself through walking. You might be surprised to find that many of the skills you need for this new chapter were developed in the old one. Nothing is wasted. Every experience has been teaching you something valuable. Even the detours have been preparation for where you're meant to go. The permission to start over isn't something you need to earn. It's your birthright as a living being. Every sunrise is nature's reminder that renewal is always available. Every spring is proof that dormancy isn't death. It's preparation for new growth. Your future self is already there, having made this transition. They're looking back at this moment with gratitude, grateful that you had the courage to listen to your soul's calling, grateful that you didn't let fear of being too late stop you from beginning again. Remember, you're not behind. You're not too late. You're exactly where you need to be to hear this call to renewal. Trust the timing of your awakening. Trust that the very desire to begin again is evidence of your readiness to do so. Let this moment be your permission to start over, to trust the wisdom of your discontent, to believe that your desire for change is not a mistake, but a message. Your life is not a test to be passed, but a gift to be opened again and again as many times as you need. Begin now. Begin where you are. Begin with what you have. The time will never be perfect, but it will always be right. Your soul knows no timeline except the rhythm of your own readiness. And if you're feeling this call to change now, that's your moment. Not too early, not too late. Exactly on time. Trust that the universe conspires to help those who align with their truth. Watch for the signs, the synchronicities, the seemingly random connections that appear when you commit to authentic change. Your renewal is supported by forces larger than your doubts. You're not too late to start over. You're right on time for your own becoming. The spring that's trying to burst forth in your life doesn't need permission from anyone else's calendar. Your renewal is between you and your soul, and your soul's timing is always perfect. Let this be your moment of saying yes to change, yes to starting over, yes to building something that truly fits your soul. The blueprint you've been following may not have been yours, but the one your heart is drawing now. That's your authentic design, and it's never too late to build from truth. Think about how many times you've watched others start over and secretly wished you had that courage. How many sunrises have witnessed your quiet longing for change? Each of those moments was preparing you for now. Each doubt, each hesitation, each false start has been strengthening your resolve. The universe speaks in patterns, and your pattern has been leading you here, to this moment of recognition, to this threshold between what was and what could be. Every book that found its way to you, every conversation that stirred something deep inside, every dream that wouldn't let you rest. These were breadcrumbs leading you home to yourself. When you look back at this moment years from now, you'll understand that what felt like being too late was actually perfect timing, that your readiness needed all these years to ripen, that your soul knew exactly when to call you toward change. Trust this deeper timing that operates beyond logic and social expectations. Your starting over isn't just about you. It's about everyone who will be inspired by your courage, everyone who needs to see that renewal is possible at any age, every person questioning their own path who will find hope in your transformation. Your rebirth is both deeply personal and universally significant. Remember that nature never rushes, yet everything gets accomplished. The flower doesn't force its blooming. The seed doesn't apologize for its timing. The moon doesn't compare its cycle to the sun's. Each follows its own rhythm of becoming. Your rhythm is exactly right for you. The very fact that you can feel this call to change means you're alive with possibility. Dead things don't grow. Dead dreams don't whisper in the night. Dead hopes don't keep tugging at your heart. This restlessness is life itself moving through you, asking to be expressed in new ways. Let yourself be a beginner again. There's humility in starting over, yes, but there's also tremendous power. Beginners see possibilities that experts have forgotten. Beginners bring fresh eyes and open hearts. Beginners aren't bound by the way things have always been done. Your soul has been waiting for this moment, waiting for you to be ready to hear its call, waiting for your defenses to soften, for your excuses to exhaust themselves, for your fear of being too late to transform into recognition that now is the perfect time. Every ending is pregnant with beginning. Every loss creates space for something new. Every goodbye opens the door for hello. These aren't just poetic truths. They're the operating principles of the universe. Your life is part of this eternal dance of completion and commencement. The time has come to trust the wisdom of your discontent, to understand that your desire for change isn't a mistake, but a message, to recognize that starting over isn't admitting failure. It's choosing growth. It's aligning with the most fundamental force in the universe, transformation. Your future is not determined by your past. Your potential is not limited by your age. Your dreams are not bound by others' timelines. You are a living being, and living beings are designed for renewal. Trust this deep knowing that runs in your veins, that whispers in your dreams, that won't let you settle for less than authenticity. Now is your time. Now is when all the threads of your experience weave together into a tapestry of meaning. Now is when your past makes sense, not as a mistake, but as preparation. Now is when your heart's longing and your life's purpose align. Begin. Not because you have everything figured out, but because you're ready to trust the unfolding. Not because you're fearless, but because you're finally more afraid of staying the same than of changing. Not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. You're not too late to start over. You're right on time for your own becoming. The universe has been waiting for exactly this moment, when your readiness meets your courage, meets your truth. Step forward. Your new life is waiting. And remember, as Carl Jung said, I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become. Choose now. Choose yourself. Choose renewal. The time is always right to become who you truly are. Your story isn't over. It's just beginning. And this chapter might be the most beautiful one yet. Trust your timing. Trust your truth. Trust the wisdom that brought you to this moment of choosing to begin again. The world needs your authentic life. It needs your courage to start over. It needs your example of choosing growth over comfort, truth over conformity, aliveness over settling. Your renewal is a gift, not just to yourself, but to everyone who will be inspired by your courage to begin again. Start now. Start small. Start where you are, but start. The universe conspires to help those who align with their truth. And your truth is calling you toward new beginnings. Answer that call. Your time is now.